From Cichy Stadium in Fargo, North Dakota. Good evening, everybody. I'm Jed Thomas, alongside of my partner, Braden Altringer, as we get set for North Dakota high school football action as the Shanley Deacons get ready to take on the Bismarck St. Mary's Saints. Well, folks, it does not get any better than this. Two undefeated arch rivals battling it out right here in front of us tonight. They're tied for number one in the polls. They're about as even as you can get. Braden, tell us, what are you expecting for a game where really anything can happen?
Yeah, it's going to be a great game. I know both teams are going to be hungry after last year's state championship. Jed, I think we're in for a great ball game tonight.
Certainly, and talk about the rivalry between these two teams here, Braden. Shanley last year got their first win over St. Mary's since, I think it was 2002 in the regular season. It snapped a huge losing streak. That was a huge moment for this program. And then in the state championship that year, the Saints ended Shanley's bid for an undefeated championship season in crushing fashion. So these are longtime rivals who have a big history, and like you said, I think they're going to be out, Shanley for revenge here tonight. St. Mary's looking to stay on top.
Yeah, I know St. Mary's won last year's state championship, but they're not going to have a ton of confidence with losing their starting quarterback last year.
That's a good point. Losing Cole Gendre was a huge loss. He was a starter for the last 3 or so years. I will say, though, Drew Dosh has stepped in really well in Gendre's place. Dosh actually had to play in the regular season meeting between Shanley and St. Mary's last year. Gendre went out with a concussion about halfway through that game. Dosh stepped in, and he got a lot of playing time last year. He's played well so far this year. He's guided them to a 5-0 start, so I think they've got some confidence in the junior this year.
And speaking of Dosh, he's my player to watch for the St. Mary's Saints. If the Saints are going to want to win this ball game, he's going to have to play a good game and make all of his passes.
No doubt about it. St. Mary's is a run-first team, which should help in this cold weather with some strong winds, but Dosh will have to step up. They use a lot of that play action. For Shanley, Braden, how about the loss of starting quarterback Caden Kuhneman? Now they've got Cade Busick, an experienced quarterback in himself, stepping in, but how do you think that affects the Deacons? This is their second week now without Kuhneman.
It definitely hurts to lose your starting quarterback, but Cade Busick played last year, and he played great, so I think they're going to be just fine, and it'll be a great ball game.
All right, well, we got a lot of storylines to follow here, a long history between these two teams. Like we said, folks, we are going to send things over to a word from our sponsors here for just about a minute, but then we'll be right back for more coverage of the big game here tonight.
This broadcast is presented by American Family Insurance, Ken Craft Agency, Bell Bank, Beyond Boundaries Therapy Services, Butler Machinery, Ed's Marine, the Fargo Jet Center, First International Bank and Trust, Forum Communications, Haley's Hope, Hurley's Religious Goods, Luther Family Buick GMC, Master Construction, Moore Engineering, Network Center, Northern Improvement, Off the Wall Advertising, Robert Gibb and Sons, Sanford, Shields, Taxman, TCI Insurance, and Wolf Steel Construction.
We are back, and now just minutes away from kicking off the game of the year here for both these teams. I would say Braden, Shanley, and St. Mary's. Like we said, the big-time rivals battle it out. Shanley won the regular season matchup last year. St. Mary's took the important game, the state championship, obviously. Now, we touched on players to watch before. You mentioned Drew Dosh as your player to watch for Bismarck St. Mary's. How about the Shanley Deacons, though? Who do you see needing to step up for them tonight?
I think it's going to be Joe Cava. The St. Mary's can run the ball and can also pass the ball, so if the Deacons want to win, Joe Cava's going to have to get in there and clog up those running holes.
Certainly, their passing game is kind of sparked by their running game. If they can't get the run going first, they likely won't get the passing game going because they rely so heavily on the play action like we talked about. They do a lot of those fullback dives. They do a lot of, runs out of the power eye. They've got Heinert at tailback. He'll get a lot of those carries, but they're also going to have Ben Schmidt or Mark Horner. Either one of those guys will get a lot of those fullback dive type of carries. And like you said, up front is going to be a really interesting battle. The hallmark of St. Mary's under Coach Smirker has really been the big men up front. They have had incredible offensive lines really as long as Smirker has been there, and this year's really no different. How much of a handful do you think they're going to be for the Shanley front seven?
It's going to be Shanley's toughest test today. I know previous games we've talked about the battle in the trenches, but this is going to be their toughest test for sure.
Without a doubt. Last year, that really, to me, was the deciding factor in the state championship game. St. Mary's controlled that line of scrimmage, so Shanley is going to have to do something, and like you said, if anyone's going to do it, it'll be Joe Cava. He is definitely one of, if not the best player on that Shanley front line, offensive and defensive, so he's going to have to step up and be the man for the Deacons.
And he for sure will. He's been a starter for 3 years now, so this isn't new to him at all.
Yeah, and that's pretty crazy experience for the junior. He was actually on the Shanley JV team as an 8th grader, which you don't see too often, and like you said, he's been a starter since his freshman year, so this is his 3rd year now playing in a big rivalry game. He's pretty used to the bright lights.
He definitely is, but there's got to be some nerves out here with this big ball game.
And, we talked about Drew Dosh for St. Mary's. How much pressure do you think he's going to be feeling tonight, and how much do you think that'll impact his game?
I think he's going to be feeling a lot of pressure at the start, but after he throws that first ball, he's going to be just fine, and he'll settle in.
All right, a lot of confidence there in the junior because, he had to step up last year in the second half of this game, like we said, but this is really his first experience with a big-time, tight, rivalry game. A lot on the line here, of course. The winner tonight will take the lead in the standings, and be the winner tonight likely going to be the first seed in AA, which is big. Obviously, you get the home field advantage in the first round bye. There are still some tests for these two teams going forward, but I would say that the winner of tonight's game is probably pretty, not certain, but in good position to have that 1 seed.
They'll for sure be in good position, but both these teams, no matter win or loss, they'll be in good position for the state championship game.
For sure. Likely looking at number 1 and 2 here in AA. There is a chance, though. St. Mary's does have a big game against Central Cass coming up, and that'll be tough. Central Cass has proved to be a really tough opponent. So we are just about ready, folks. Again, it's the game everyone's been waiting for. Shanley and St. Mary's does not get any better than this. It's a clash of rivals. It's a clash of philosophies. The Shanley passing attack versus the old school St. Mary's ground and pound. Offense versus defense. St. Mary's famous for their stifling defense. Shanley for their blazing offense. The Saints are allowing 6 points per game this season, while the Deacons are scoring 41 points per game. Braden, anything can happen between these two teams. They're polar opposites. They're big-time rivals. And you know what? I'm done with the talk. I'm ready to see what happens.
Yeah, Jess, it's going to be a great game, and here we go.
With that, we're underway in the big rivalry matchup. Kick going to be fielded inside the 10, and it's dropped. A muffed kickoff. Not going to affect the Saints too much, though. It's a nice recovery and a good return. And so a scary moment for St. Mary's ultimately won't cost them. Ben Schmidt recovers nicely. So here comes that St. Mary's offense. As we talked about, they're a defense-first team, but they're a very capable offensive squad, scoring 37 points per game. Shanley defense, meanwhile, holding their opponents to 11 per game. So we've got 2 receivers out to the right. Heinert will join Dosh in the backfield, a man in motion, but right off the bat, we've got a whistle and a quick stoppage in play. Looks like our referees were not quite ready here for this first play. But now here we go, man in motion going across the formation, and it'll be an immediate handoff to Heinert. Heinert bringing it up the near side. Nice little gain for Heinert. Still going, churning the legs forward, and that's a good 5-6 yard gain for Joey Heinert. And Braden, that's a great opening play for the Saints. A good chunk of yards, sets up a manageable second down here.
Yeah, he really, after he got hit that first time, he kept running those legs and got a couple extra yards there.
Heinert, the junior, running hard. So now it's the I formation look for the Saints. You'll see a lot of this here tonight. 1 receiver right, 1 left. Dosh under center. Muff snap. Drops back to pass. Has some time. Has to step up. And Braden, what a response from the Shanley defense.
Yeah, and I think we saw some of those nerves there from Dosh there, so we'll see if that factors into these next couple plays here.
And look at this replay. So it's a drop snap, and Dosh just does not look very comfortable back there in the pocket. I think he was expecting immediate pressure, and then he realized he had some time, but it was gone before he could do anything. 3rd and about 6 now for the Saints. 2 receivers out right. Heinert again in the backfield with Dosh, and they'll hand off Heinert. It's the same play as the first one, just the opposite side, and it's good for a gain of 7 or 8, more than enough for the first down.
On that play, the St. Mary's Saints did not go off their blocks. The Shanley Deacons defense needs to do a better job of get off their blocks and make that tackle.
And Braden, talk about trusting the process there for St. Mary's, going with that run game again on a 3rd and 5 or 6. That's not the easiest chunk of yards to pick up on a 3rd down with the run.
No, but they're trusting their offense, and they're going to keep doing it if it works.
So a fresh set of downs now with the ball at the 44-yard line for St. Mary's. Dosh going to drop back to pass on the play action. Looking downfield, not a lot there. He tries to dump it off. He'll find Spiess, but only for a gain of 1 or 2. Cole Fredericks is right there. Nice defense that time from Fredericks. You'll see that roll out a lot from the Saints. They love to use that play action, do the little bootleg type look, buy their quarterback some time. Ball on the near hash now, I formation. Dosh takes it. It's a full back dive and a nice one at that. Schmidt is up the middle for a gain of 9 or 10. Another easy first down for the Saints.
Jed, that might have been the biggest hole I've seen in a long time there.
Yeah, certainly opened up against this Shanley front. You don't see holes that big very often.
No, I think Shanley will get it figured out here. Not on this drive, but maybe the next drive, and they'll be just fine.
Yeah, they will have to figure it out here soon. Don't want to give up any points here to the Saints on the opening drive. Doubles formation look now for St. Mary's. Heinert is in at receiver, but he'll go in motion. And now here's Dosh rolling out to his right. He's got a man. It's Heinert. Heinert takes it, but he coughs the ball up. Recovered by the Saints, though. And Braden, that is the 3rd time the Saints have just about turned this ball over.
Yeah, I'm not so sure if it's the weather. Just the hands are cold. They can't get a good grip on the ball here.
That definitely plays a factor. You know, when it's this cold, your hands get a little tight. It's hard to get a good grip, but they're going to have to figure that out because they have really been lucky not to turn this thing over.
And you can't turn it over in this big of a game here.
Certainly not. Shanley will capitalize. They've done that a lot this season. I formation again for the Saints. 2nd and 5. Handoff to Heinert. He's got some blocks. Churning forward. He'll be maybe a yard short of the first down. It looks close. Noah Johnson gets the tackle for Shanley. He and Austin Manuel, the middle linebackers, they do a lot of work for the Deacons. They really shut down the middle of the field against most teams. So a big 3rd down. 3rd and less than a yard now for the Saints. Watch out for the fullback dive. I formation, they do go to the fullback. It's Schmidt. He was wrapped up in the backfield, but I think he got it.
I do think he got it as well, but it was good to see the Shanley Deacons there closing that hole right away.
It's a close spot. They might have to measure this thing because it's very close. I thought that ball was a little bit further forward, although they did catch him pretty early in on that run.
Yeah, I think the Deacons got a fortunate ball placement there as well.
And they're showing 4th down right now. Let's get a look at this measurement. Very close. And I think it might be a hair short. And now I'm not sure what's going on. They're picking up and moving the ball. It looks like it's going to be short. I am very surprised with the placement of that football, Braden.
I am as well. It looks like he got a couple more yards, but maybe that side referee saw something different.
Yeah, it was a pretty obscured view for us, so it looks like it's going to be 4th down. No surprise here. It looks like St. Mary's will go for it.
And you'll see that from both teams here today. They don't punt too often.
So here it is, a huge 4th down. 4th and literally inches. I formation once again. Can St. Mary's get it done with the power look? It looks like it. Dosh is well across on the QB sneak, and that's a big pickup for the Saints.
And Jed, I know it's the first drive here still, but St. Mary's is winning the battle in the trenches here so far.
And Braden, this is exactly what they want. Shanley is a hurry-up type of team. They play fast and they play hard. St. Mary's likes these long, methodical drives. Trying to wear out the Deacons early, perhaps. Same formation again. Misdirection in the backfield. Spiess has it, and he's got space. Mason Spiess still churning forward and down just short of the 20-yard line. The biggest gain of the day for St. Mary's. Look at that hole. The misdirection fools the Deacons, and the blockers do the rest to get Spiess a big chunk of yardage. They're going to stick with that I formation. Why not, Braden? It's been working pretty well. 7:45 left to go in the first. Again, misdirection. They go to Spiess. They're going to try another time, and he's going to be brought down for a gain of 1 or 2. Not nearly as much. The Deacons do a nice job not being fooled twice.
Yeah, Cava sniffed that one really well there and made the tackle.
And there he is, your player to watch, Joe Cava. He's going to have to really be all over the place for Shanley. He's a big guy, a little over 230, but he moves pretty well. Very athletic for his size. 2nd and 9 now. 2 receivers out left. Heiner in shotgun, or excuse me, Dosh in shotgun. We got a flag as it's a give to Heiner, who gets some nice yardage, but I think this is coming back. Looked like...
Illegal shift there, maybe?
Yeah, I think that is the call, Braden. There was motion there like we've seen before, and the Saints sideline not too pleased with that call. And we got a little confusion out on the field, and it does appear to be that illegal shift call, so that should back the Saints up. Stays 2nd down, but now it'll be a little longer for them, and that's unfortunate. They got a good chunk of yardage with the give to Heiner there.
Yeah, when you're deep into your opponent's territory, you never want to give yards back.
Certainly going to take some momentum away, as that's really the first negative play for the Saints all game. Coach Smirker not pleased, I think, with his team more than anything there for getting the illegal shift call. And I don't think you can see it right now, folks, but Coach Smirker in shorts right now in what is most definitely the coldest game of the year. No doubt an ultimate football guy over there, Dan Smirker, as the Deacons make a big-time stop. Only 2, maybe 3 yards there for the Saints on the fullback dive. And so big 3rd down coming up now.
Yeah, we're going to have to see Dosh's arm here. He's going to have to throw the ball a little farther on this play.
Well, you would think we'd see the arm, but the Saints are quite committed to the run game. I would think you're right, but you never know with St. Mary's. Doubles look. 3rd and 13. Dosh in shotgun. Drops back to pass. Has a man. Finds him. Going to be short of the 1st down, though. It was Curl. Cullen Curl opened that time. Nice route underneath, but he's still well short. That's about 5 yards to go for the Saints, and now it's decision time.
Yeah, I think they're going to go for it here inside the 20-ish now.
Yeah, evidently, you know, they don't trust the kicking game, which is understandable in high school. It's a pretty long kick. It'd be about 33 yards. So they'll go for it on a 4th and 7. It reads on the scoreboard. A lot of noise being made by the Shanley crowd. Doubles look. Dosh with time. He's going to have to escape now. Looking downfield. He's going to cut up and run. Has some blockers. Still moving. Dosh going forward. Let's see the spot. It looks close. I think he might have gotten that, Braden. How about the legs on Drew Dosh?
That was impressive. His running abilities there to avoid one tackle and get the 1st down.
He looked like Johnny Football back there, popping around, bobbing and weaving. I have no idea how he turned that into positive yards, let alone a 1st down. But yet here we are, a fresh set of downs at the 11-yard line. So I formation now for the Saints. They've converted 2 4th downs here. Handoff goes to Schmidt, who is brought down immediately. Excellent defense played that time, and who else but Joe Cava in there to grab him.
Yeah, the last couple of plays, the Deacons have really shut up those inside holes.
Those fullback runs are the bread and butter of the St. Mary's offense, and they have not been working too well. That's one thing you can say to Shanley's credit here. They're doing a good job forcing the Saints into maybe some more uncomfortable situations.
And the Saints have noticed that, and they're taking advantage of those outside runs and getting positive yards.
Yeah, they're still finding a way here. They're going to go to the fullback once again. No, it's Dosh who has it. Dosh driving forward, brought down by about 8 Deacons that time. He got out for a gain of 3 or 4, and that'll set up another 3rd down around the 6-yard line. It's 3rd and 2 now, so Dosh was able to get a little more than I thought there. Manageable here, but you know, Braden, this is usually where the Saints would go with the fullback run, but right now I don't know if that's really working too well for them.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see some trickery here, maybe some misdirection.
We'll see what Coach Schmierker pulls out of his bag of tricks. It's going to be the give to Heiner. Heiner looking for the edge on the outside. He's wrapped up and brought down, but not before he got to the marker, I don't think. They might mark him short. Let's see. And they'll give him the 1st down. Another huge conversion for the Saints. They're in business now, just 2 or 3 yards away from the goal line.
I'm not so sure if you saw that, but the quarterback, Cade Busick, was coming on for the Shanley defense there.
Well, Busick often starts at that defensive end position. He was a starter all season until Kuhneman went down, obviously. But they may call on him here like they did just there. And so the give is to Heiner, who is brought down hard in the backfield. Brandon Rosberg built a wall, and Heiner could not get through. Rosberg wrapped him up and brought him down.
Rosberg's another key player to watch on Shanley's defensive line as well as the offensive line.
And, we talked about that battle in the trenches. The Saints were winning it initially, but the further they push into Shanley territory, the tighter those holes are getting to the point where they really aren't there right now.
Yeah, I think it might have been some of Shanley's nerves. Now they're just settling and getting comfortable within this game.
I formation again, 2nd and goal here. Pitch out to Heiner. He's going to try to find the edge. He gets a nice block, and he's into the end zone, but there's a flag. This one's coming back. And I'm not sure if I caught the call. I thought we were going to get an illegal block in the back, but I don't know if that was it.
I think we're getting a hold out on the wide receiver there. I didn't get a look at a number.
I saw, it is a hold call. And I'm not sure if we've got a look at that replay. Okay, yeah, and it does appear to be a hold there. And that's a big backup here, Braden. You go from 2nd and about 2 yards there to now all the way back about 8 yards away. And the way the running game has been going for St. Mary's, this is going to be tough to convert.
Yeah, you had a couple plays there you wanted to run, but now you have to look into the playbook a little deeper to see what you want to get about 7 to 8 yards here.
I mean, this Shanley defense is getting tighter and tighter. The Saints don't have a response right now. Let's see what they can do, though. 2nd and 12 yards away from the goal line now. Dosh rolling out, pressure coming. He gets it to Schmidt, but Schmidt is wrapped up and brought down. Gain of maybe 2 or 3. The Deacons are all over the field right now, and the tables are starting to turn against the Saints. Busick will sub off now from that defensive end position as a critical 3rd and 11 is coming here. It'll be interesting to see if they go for the end zone or try to set up a manageable 4th down try. Doubles formation. Dosh drops back to pass. He has some time looking in the corner into a ton of traffic. And good grief, there were about 4 Deacon defenders there, Braden.
Yeah, that was a very dangerous pass there. He was lucky that didn't get intercepted.
Dosh that time just looking at his first read and heaving it up there, and you can't do that against these Shanley D-backs.
No, you can't at all.
You've got an all-stater and Division I commit in Haley Buckles back there. You got Andy Clark, who's grabbing interceptions by the bunchful. I mean, you just cannot go that blindly with the pass there. It's tough, though. I mean, not a lot of options for Dosh. He was likely just trying to hit the fade. Probably designed there to just go for the first read. As now Huber kicks, and it is no good. Someone got a paw on it, and the Deacons make a huge stop deep in their own territory.
That was definitely huge. Any little bit of momentum you can get in this game is going to help your team.
I mean, that went from a touchdown to a field goal try to nothing for the Saints, and that is incredible. What a stand by this Shanley defense. So here is our first look at the Deacon offense now. Again, averaging 41 points per game, the most in Double-A. Offense is the bread and butter of this team. Obviously, you saw the defense play pretty well there, but they rely on points scored to win these games. They go for the shootouts normally. Let's see what they've got. An I formation look for Shanley. You don't see that too often. They're a pass-first type of team. And here's a handoff from Busick to Haley Buckles in the backfield, who goes nowhere fast. Buckles not normally a running back, but he checked in that time.
Also in the backfield there was Joe Cava checking in as a tailback or fullback kind of position there.
Yeah, I had heard some rumblings this week, Braden, about some new formations using Cava as a fullback. We talked about his athleticism, and you saw it there, although they were not able to really open a hole for Buckles. Here's a more traditional look for the Deacons. Doubles formation, Busick on the keeper. He found some space, but did not make it very far. The Saints linebackers were there immediately.
I know we were talking about both offenses at the beginning of this game, but it looks like it might be a defensive battle here.
That certainly appears to be the case right now as Hawkinson and Spiess got in there. And now some confusion with the Saints defense. Shanley maybe want to snap this one quick and take advantage. Busick now going to roll out. Pressure coming. Great block thrown by Fredericks. Ball found its way to DeKaiser, but it was a little behind, and he couldn't reel it in. So a quick 3 and out for Shanley, and that's a pretty big response there by the Saints.
Yeah, especially missing that field goal. You think your team might be a little down, but to come out and get a 3-and-out, that's huge.
That defense, Braden, that is the real deal. I have truly not seen anyone hold Shanley as well as they did right there.
Yeah, I haven't seen that either. We know we're going to be in for a good ball game now.
Appears to be the case as we have just 2 minutes left to go in this first quarter. That's what happens with the way the Saints play football. They eat up that clock. That was about a 9-minute drive, and it didn't even result in points, which is pretty insane when you think about it. They marched all the way down the field, just could not quite punch it in. And I have no idea what the Deacons are doing right now. There were a couple guys running out on the field. Buckles came in late, and then Johnson ran out but ran back off, and the Deacons have to burn a timeout before a punt.
That really hurts. I just think there was some miscommunication on the sideline there, and they're going to figure it out right here.
Yeah, probably a little bit of jitters like we talked about. You know, that's to be expected in a game like this. Again, though, not where you want to use a timeout, you know, right before a punt. You want to get that personnel down.
Yeah, you'd rather save your timeouts for later in the half when you're maybe doing a 2-minute drive.
It is possible. You never know with Troy Mattern. They could be drawing something up here. He is not a big fan of punting. That's a bit of an understatement, Braden, but yeah. He does not like to punt that football.
No, for sure. I definitely wouldn't be surprised if we see a fake here, but with their position, I think they're just going to go ahead and punt the ball here.
I mean, even Mattern, Coach Mattern knows that that's not what you do in this situation. 4th and 10 all the way back at your own 20. So Andy Clark is out to punt the football here for the Deacons. The snap, here goes Clark. Nice punt downfield, going to be fielded by Heiner, and he muffed it. It's still loose. The Deacons are going to pick it up. And Braden, my gosh, the Saints cannot hang on to the ball, and the Deacons capitalize because of it.
This kind of reminds me of our last home game against Watford City. They had a couple of plays that they turned the ball over, 2 on muffed punts and snaps.
And look at that. I'm not sure who that was who almost got back on it for the Saints, but 2 guys there had their hands on the football for St. Mary's, and neither could get it. And this must be driving Coach Schmierker absolutely up the wall right now. Braden, this is really reminiscent of last year's state title game as the Saints had a lot of trouble holding on to the football, especially on punts like we saw there. Busick still hanging on to this one, pitches it out to Buckles. He was caught initially, broke through. Good for a gain of 1 or 2. That time it was Isaac Armstrong who almost got the shoestring tackle. Buckles does a good job turning it into positive yards, though.
He was very fortunate to get back to the line of scrimmage because I think Busick hold on for that just a little long.
Certainly. Yeah, he needed to make that pitch earlier, Braden, I'd say. So let's see what they can do now on 2nd and 9. It's another option out to Buckles. Turning it upfield, still going. Breaks a couple tackles and is then brought down hard by Jackson Wiseman. And Braden, how about this reluctance to pass here from Shanley? Not what we're used to.
I think it might just because of the weather and the cold hands maybe.
And definitely, you know, you got the new quarterback out there as well. I mean, I shouldn't say new. He's pretty experienced, but it is only his 2nd game here for the Deacons, as now this ball is going to be backed up. And it looked like we had a hold there on that play. I think they caught Tallenhofer on the edge outside. And so while we have a little break here, folks, we do want to give a shout-out to Lance McDaniel watching. Thank you for tuning in. And also an update at the end of the first quarter. Jamestown leads Valley City 14-6. An update from AA play there as Shanley is facing 2nd and 19. Nice pass completed on the outside. The first completion of the night for the Deacons is out to Hofer. Able to get back about to the original line, about where they were after the Buckles run. So that's 3rd and 8 now for Shanley. And this is a spot on the field where if they don't get it here, it would not surprise me if they go for it on 4th. Busick fakes the handoff to Buckles. I think there might have been some confusion there as Buckles looked like he was going to grab that ball.
I don't believe Busick and Buckles are on the same page there.
Yeah, but it works out well for him as Busick gets a nice gain. Now they're just a yard or 2 away, and they will go for it. No surprises here. Big 4th down try coming. 2 men out to the right, 1 out to the left. Busick in shotgun with Buckles to his right. It's another option play. He'll turn it upfield. He ran into his own man. Did he get it? I don't think so. He stopped short. Busick collided with Manuel there. There were some hands grabbing at his legs, but it was the collision with Manuel that ultimately, I think, kept him from reaching the first down line.
And I believe number 30, Connor Putes, was able to get the stop for the Saints there.
Yeah, Putes got in there, and then the collision ultimately cost him. That's big for St. Mary's. Fortunate as I thought Busick was going to get it, but an error there from Shanley helps out the Saints big time. So here's an I formation look for the Saints. The offense back out there after a failed drive earlier. They drove way down the field but couldn't punch it in. Schmidt carries that one for 2 or 3 yards that time. We'll see if we get a playoff before the end of the first here. And it looks like the Saints are content to just let this clock wind down and let the first quarter expire with all sides knotted up 0-0. And Braden, after 1 quarter of play, what are your thoughts here? Is this what you expected?
I did expect this game. I really liked how Drew Dosh has settled in, and he's delivered some passes. He did have one tough ball, but I think he's playing just fine.
Another update from AA ball is Watford City leads Turtle Mountain 8-0. It was a punt return touchdown that got the Wolves on the board. Certainly be a big win for Watford City if they could get the win there over Turtle Mountain. And folks, we also want to give a shout out here to Father Stelton. Father Stelton, a former teacher and administrator at Shanley and 94 years young, recently received the Deacon Award for his service to Shanley and to the church. Congratulations, Father, and thank you for tuning in. Father Stelton tuning in from Villa Maria Nursing Home in Fargo. Thanks a lot for tuning in, Father. Glad to have you. And folks, if you're watching, let us know on social media. Find us on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. Get in contact with us. We'll try to give you a shout out on air. Back to the action on the field, though. We're about ready to start this second quarter off again, all tied up 0-0. It is a nice 41 degrees outside right now with a pretty strong breeze. And, folks, it feels colder than 41, I'll tell you that.
It definitely feels colder than 41. I know we're in the box up here, Jed, but you can definitely feel that breeze up here.
Yeah, you certainly can. We got the windows open, and that's enough for us to be pretty chilly. So you can about imagine what it's like down there. And that cold, it does affect the way you play the game. We've seen it already impact the way these guys are gripping the football. We've seen a lot of fumbles for the Saints. We've seen a little bit of trouble in the passing game for Shanley. We've seen them really not try the passing game too much, I think in part because of how cold it is and how hard that ball gets.
Yeah, Busick's also known for more of his running abilities. So I think they're trying to spread him out and
play to his strengths.
Exactly,
yeah.
Exactly.
All right, so the first play of the second quarter coming up here. On first down, the Saints got a gain of about 3 yards. Shanley's got 12 men out there right now in mass confusion. They're able to get the man off. And now it's I formation look for the Saints. Fullback dive. No, Dosh still has it, and it's a late pitch out to Heiner. A dangerous pitch at the last second. Good for 1 or 2 yards.
That was a very dangerous pitch there. I kind of was surprised that the Deacons didn't get that and score.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there for St. Mary's, but they faked the handoff. You know, it was some misdirection in the backfield. It looked like it was going to plan, but then Dosh at the last second just pitched it away. And, yeah, they're fortunate that ball wasn't coughed up. So 3rd and 5. Big third down now for the Saints. Trying to get this offense back into the rhythm they had earlier. And we've got movement up front. It looks like the Deacons jumped. That'll be a huge offsides if that is the call. The way the Deacons reacted, I think it is.
And I think it might have been on my player to watch, Joe Cava.
Yeah, a little too eager up front. 5 yards is what the Saints needed for the first down, so they don't even need to try it. They get a fresh set of downs, and that's a big-time penalty, Braden.
Yeah, you never want penalties or a loss of yards in this big of a ball game.
So St. Mary's got 3 more downs to work with now with the ball at the 40-yard line. Both teams have made a couple of mistakes here that have really put them in some not great situations. We saw the Saints fumble the punt, and now Shanley give them some new downs with the offsides. And so it's a give to Heinert now. Heinert trying to find the edge. He cuts up field. That's 3 or 4 yards for Joey Heinert. And that's what the Saints want on first down. They're content getting, 3, 4, 5 yards, set up a second and manageable, and hopefully get the first down there or give you a 3rd and 1. That's the way they play. They're just fine having to go 3 downs to get the first down.
And so far it's working for them, so I think they're just going to stick to it and just keep running it down Shanley's throats.
Again, very different from how Shanley operates. The Saints, they try to pick up in small chunks. Shanley looks for the big play. As some good penetration here for Jake Pollard. Dosh over the head of Schmidt. He had Schmidt. It was good coverage by Fredericks. Maybe could have snuck it in there, though, just a little too strong.
I think he was feeling some of the pressure on his backside from Jake Pollard.
Yeah, and Jake Pollard has really come into his own as a defensive lineman this season. He was a starter on the offensive line last year. This is his first year starting on that D-line, and the senior has really excelled, especially the last couple games he's stepped it up. So it is 3rd and 5 now, another big third down. Shanley going to try not to just give it away with an offsides here. Saints going to have to come up with something. The offense, again, has really kind of run out of steam here. Doubles formation look. Dosh drops back, has a man, it's Wiseman, but he's too strong. And the passing game, not there whatsoever so far for St. Mary's.
Again, on that play, I think it was the pressure that got to him and made him overthrow the ball.
Yeah, I'm not sure right now. I think that's definitely part of it, Braden. Dosh, though, has just been a little overeager. He's been throwing the ball early, and he's been throwing it, pretty hard. He's going to have to settle in here because right now the running game is not working the way the Saints want it to. So Dosh will punt, will be the first punt here for St. Mary's. Takes his time and gets some good leg behind this one. Going to be fielded by Clark around the 15-yard line, turning it upfield. Nice tackling here for St. Mary's. Clark able to break through, though, and get down to about the 28-yard line. So good job by Andy Clark to keep moving. 10 minutes, 11 seconds remain in this second quarter. It's 0-0. The Saints, we thought they had a touchdown, but it was called back for a hold, and then they were unable to punch the ball in. Shanley, meanwhile, went 3 and out, recovered a fumbled punt, and then it went 3 and out once again. Let's see what they've got now. 2 men out to the right, 1 out to the left. It's a handoff up the middle to Buckles, and Buckles has nowhere to go. He was waiting and waiting for the hole to open, and it just never did. Can see on the replay here, Buckles just trying to be patient, and then nothing really developed. The Saints do a good job getting off their blocks and just taking it away.
And with Buckles normally not being in the backfield, you think they're not going to throw the ball much today?
Yeah, I'm a little curious as to what the thinking is here, moving Buckles into running back. Interesting not having one of their normal running backs back there. Busick with a ton of time now. Fires one to Hoffer. It's a bullet. Hoffer's got it, though, for the first down and more. It's a gain of about 15 for the Deacons. As, boy, Cade Busick had all the time in the world there.
Yeah, Shanley won the battle in the trenches on that play.
And we want to give a shout out to Shanley and Shanley TV alumni, Adam McTaggart, watching from UND. Adam, thanks for tuning in. He's no doubt happy about that big gain for the Deacons, as the Shanley fans in the stadium are as well. A play to give them some life here. Same formation, Busick on the QB keeper. Designed run for Cade Busick, gets good yardage, gain of 6 or 7. He's down just short of the first down marker. And now the Shanley offense starting to find its rhythm. That defense has been playing well, and the other side of the ball is catching up.
Yeah, they're kind of using St. Mary's philosophy here. Run the ball, and then when that pass play is open, take advantage of it.
And it should tell you how highly the coaching staff thinks of Haley Buckles, that they know they're not going to pass as much, so they've decided to move him into the backfield just to get him as many touches as they can, as it's now 2nd and 5 here for the Deacons. It's a fake to Buckles. Busick with all the space in the world upfield for a gain of 20 yards, maybe more. Nobody touched him until he was well downfield. And look at this replay, just no one home for the Saints, and that is not very common for them. Their defense is strong, but it's the middle of their defense that's really their best area, with Horner and Spiess at those inside linebacker positions. Normally there's no running room there. So it's no men in the backfield, now 5 wide, and what a play from Horner! He bats the screen pass away. You don't see that too often. Horner's only about 5'6", 5'7". He gets the elevation, though, and knocks that ball away.
And if he wasn't going to get that, there's two other defenders there that were definitely going to be able to get that ball.
That's a huge play for the Saints, as it's their first strong defensive play in a couple of plays here. 8:22 left to go now. Empty look again. 5 wide. Busick going to carry right up the gut. And again, all the space in the world. Braden, the Saints are getting moved around up front. This is not too common from them, but they just have no push right now.
No, that surprised me quite a bit because St. Mary's is normally known for their big line, but it looks like Shanley is just more conditioned and more ready to go for this game.
Yeah, they've got the hands on the hips. They're having some trouble right now. It is Bismarck St. Mary's, though. I mean, you can never count this team out. We're still knotted up 0-0. They're still making plays. Any down can really change the momentum right back in their favor. So, a running back now in the backfield for Shanley. It's a give to Fredericks. Fredericks carrying for good yardage. That's 8 or 9 yards. And Shanley is just getting gains in large chunks now.
And for the Deacons, the middle runs are working, but for St. Mary's, they weren't at all. They had to run the ball outside.
It's like these two teams have traded positions here almost. You know, we're seeing what we expected out of St. Mary's from Shanley and vice versa. And folks, we want to give another shout out to another alumni, another Shanley TV alumni, Josh Johnson, tuning in. Josh, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. He, of course, joined me on the mic last year, as now Busick has the screen pass out to Buckles. Great job there initially by Armstrong to get off the block and grab Buckles. He couldn't bring him down, but some other Saints came to help out. And now it is 3rd and 5 for the Deacons. This is probably 4-down territory for them. They have a capable kicker, but they don't like settling for field goals. So if they don't get it here, again, I would expect them to go for it. High formation, Joe Cava in there at fullback. Again, 3rd and 5, and the script flips. It looks like the Saints jumped off sides. They're all pointing towards Shanley, although that's what you'd expect. And it'll be interesting to see the call here, because they are pretty delayed getting this thing out. And it looks like it's going to be against Shanley. Busick initially thought it was against the Saints, but the referees say otherwise. It's a false start against the Deacons. So, 6:55 left to go here in this second quarter. Shanley is now looking at 3rd and 10 after the offsides call. They're at about the Saints' 17-yard line. St. Mary's on their heels defensively right now, looking to make a huge stand. So here we go, 3rd and 10. Busick drops back to pass. He's got Buckles wide open in the flat on the screen. Buckles turning it upfield. He's knocked out short of the first down. About 2 or 3 yards short, but I think we're going to see him go for it here, Braden.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they go back to that formation with Joe Cava in the backfield. That kind of reminds me of when Josh Berg used to play, and they put him in, and they got touchdowns on almost every play he was there.
Certainly. So let's see what they do. A QB sneak up the middle would not surprise me either. It's that 5-wide look. Watch for the quarterback sneak here, Braden. I think that's what we're going to see. Here goes Busick on the run. He's wrapped up. Can they get the push? I think they got the push forward, and they did get that first down, I think.
St. Mary's knew what play was coming, but Shanley's linemen just wanted it more than them.
Well, they stopped him initially, and you're right. They got that extra shove at the end there to push him forward. So now the Saints really on their heels. 6 yards separate Shanley from pay dirt. Let's see what Shanley's got. Joe Cava again in at fullback. My guess is we see a handoff up the gut to Buckles. We haven't really seen them actually try that with this formation. They'll go with a pitch, and Buckles way out to the side and brought down for a big loss. What perimeter defense there. It's Isaac Armstrong meeting him in the backfield.
And Jen, I think that formation's going to work, but if they're going to want to score on it, they're going to have to go up the middle and not outside.
Well, right, we really haven't seen him use it how it's intended to be used. Joe Cava's not really getting the block. I mean, I'm not really sure what the thinking is. A pitch play with Cava in at fullback, he's not the fastest guy, so I'm not really sure why they're, I get the misdirection aspect of it, make him think you're going up the middle. But, yeah, I'd like to see him try it once. So 2 men out to the left, 1 out to the right. Busick drops back, fires. He's got a man open. It's Clark. I think he's just short, and that is the call. Clark inches short of the end zone, makes it 3rd and barely any, and it's going to be a sneak up the middle with Busick here as they're trying to get the quick playoff. And here goes Busick trying to get the push. Did he get it?
I believe he did.
And that's the indication. Shanley strikes first, up 6-0. A huge touchdown for the Deacons. We thought it would be St. Mary's who got on the board initially. They had the touchdown called back, and since then, Braden, it's really been all Shanley.
Yeah, the tide's kind of turned. We thought St. Mary's was going to take the lead, but Shanley takes the lead. But knowing these two teams, St. Mary's is not out of it for sure.
Oh, definitely, Braden. We've seen them come back from worse. Shanley, though, got to be happy to be the first ones on the board here. Here's Machenbacher on the kick. It looks like it made it in there, yes. So 7-0, and already the Deacons have scored more than St. Mary's is allowing on average.
Yeah, that's kind of surprising, but we knew it was going to be a good game and an offensive shootout with these teams playing.
Definitely. You know, I'm not really surprised about the offense. Again, it's that defense that surprised me. I know the Saints don't have the most explosive offense, but Shanley is just, again, more of that offensive style of team. So I've been impressed by the defense here, stepping up big time for Shanley. St. Mary's, meanwhile, going to have to respond now with 5:19 left. This is kind of the perfect amount of clock for them to put together one of their drives, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, they really liked their longer drives, and I think they'll use up the rest of the clock if they can.
All right, so a couple of quick shout-outs here. Robbie Greatzer, a Shanley alumni, Shanley football alumni. Thanks for tuning in. Tammy Bratang watching from Roseau, and Jake Pollard's sisters, Rachel and Jessica, tuning in from Colorado. So thank you all for tuning in. Glad to hear it. As now Shanley is up 7-0 like we said. Looking to kick it away is Matt Machenbacher. So here goes Machenbacher, sending it down the middle. Schmidt looking to field it, able to hang on to it. That is big for the Saints here, as Schmidt's now going to try and turn it upfield. Makes a few men miss and is then brought down at about the 26.
He did have a good return there, but I'm a little curious why he didn't let it go out of bounds so they could get that penalty in good field position.
Right, Braden. Maybe he was thinking it might, maybe he was nervous it would take a hop and then they'd be down at their own 1, or something. It would keep rolling inbounds. So, no, it is interesting, though. I thought that one was trending out as well. Still, it's a good sign that they were just able to field that thing cleanly. So here we go. 5:13 left in the second. I formation look for the Saints. Dosh under center, pitches it out to Heinert. Heinert looking upfield. Fredericks trying to catch him. He cannot. Heinert cuts it forward. Maybe 1 or 2 on the play. Good perimeter D by the Deacons.
Yeah, he really had nowhere to go there. The secondary for the Deacons really got to him and made the tackle.
St. Mary's really has not had that one play that's worked well for them. Almost always they can rely on the fullback dive to get them 3 or 4 yards. Not been the case here today, though. The runs to the outside with Spiess have worked. I would imagine we might see that on this drive. We'll see what they've got, though. And a flag, and I'm thinking a false start maybe going against the Saints.
I believe you are correct, Jed.
And that really is going to hurt St. Mary's if that is the call. And, yeah, it's a false start for the Saints. And, boy, Braden, they just cannot catch a break right now. They are really struggling. They seem to be caught off guard right now.
And this isn't really too common to them, so I'm kind of curious if it's the nerves getting to them or...
Yeah, I'm not sure.
What it is.
They lost a lot off last year's team. They returned very few starters. Shanley, meanwhile, returned quite a bit of experience, and I'd have to imagine that plays a factor.
You would think so, but you'd also think that by this point in the season, they would kind of get those kinks figured out.
Right, so let's see what they can do here. 2nd and 13. Going to need a pretty big chunk of yards here. I formation again. They fake the handoff to Heinert. Play action pass. Dosh looking downfield. Got a man for a very short gain, though. He found Wiseman. I thought he was going, actually, that time for Mason Spiess, and I think you saw Spiess wanted a hold call. He got held downfield. Shanley caught a break there as Spiess got held downfield. Although we have the flag marker on the scoreboard right now. Okay, there is no flag. But actually, a good thing there that Dosh decided to go to Wiseman is if he went to Spiess, it would have drawn more eyes on him. So Shanley fortunate there. 3rd and about 6 yards. Dosh in trouble, stepping up. Can he do it with his legs again? No, sir. Machenbacher got there to bring him down, and the Saints look like they're going to be forced to punt once again. What a stand here by Shanley, Braden.
Yeah, I think we got to give credit back to the Battle of the Trenches like I talked about previously. St. Mary's was winning it right away, but now it's the Deacons that are.
Yeah, St. Mary's just not getting that same push we normally see. We saw it on that opening possession, but since then it has not been there. Here's Dosh now on the punt. Nice line drive downfield, finds its way to Clark. Clark with space, cutting it up now, and he'll be brought down just short of the 50. Great field position for the Deacons, plenty of time too. They've got 3 minutes to try and expand this lead. For St. Mary's, they need a stop here. They got to get some positive momentum headed into halftime.
Yeah, right now Shanley has all the momentum, and in this big a game, you need the momentum on your side.
St. Mary's only returned 2 starters on that line, and one of them, Chris Birnbaum, was only a sophomore last year, so there's not a lot of experience coming back there. Shanley, meanwhile, returns a lot of guys who have played, and I think we're seeing that here between Rosberg, Bubak, Pollard, Cava. All those guys had a lot of time playing last year, and we've really seen that, in my opinion. They fake the jet sweep to Buckles. Busick gets wrapped up, tries to spin out of it, but cannot. Great penetration there for St. Mary's. Birnbaum got in there along with Spiess, able to make a big stop for the Saints. So 2:35 left, and the Deacons are taking their time here. Plenty of time with the offense they run, and they know that if they can burn some clock, if they have to give it back, not a lot of time for the Saints offense to do much. They fake the handoff to Buckles. Tons of time for Busick. Hoffer is wide open, and the Saints almost pick it off that time. The ball was well short. I think that was Wilson who got his arms up there. But Braden, boy, if you're St. Mary's, next time I think you got to bat that ball because it just about found its way into Hoffer's arms.
You definitely did, but Hoffer had 1 or 2 steps there on defense, and I think Busick could have delivered that ball just a little bit earlier.
Yeah, the underthrow there cost the Deacons a big opportunity, and they dodge a bullet there with the potential pick. So, 3rd and 10 now. Busick options out to Buckles. He's got a lot of space trying to find the edge. Can they stop him before he gets there? Yes, they can. He's going to be about 4 yards short, maybe 5. Yeah, they'll spot him out pretty far back. That's about 6 yards away now, so 4th and 6. And it looks like Shanley's going to punt. And Braden, honestly, I am surprised.
I would have to agree with you. With this field position and the amount of time remaining, it kind of surprises me.
When the Deacons get past their own 40-yard line, they'll usually go for it. But they know they're playing a different beast in St. Mary's here. Again, I would watch for the fake, though. We've seen it from them in the past. And Busick is the lead blocker in this punt formation. It could be a direct snap to him. It will be an actual punt, though. It may have been tipped, though, as Clark did not get much on it. It'll take a St. Mary's bounce, and boy, that's not what Shanley wanted.
Not at all. With that field position, it's not going to take that much to get down the field and score.
They're almost probably wondering if they should have gone for it after an unfortunate break there. Looked like Clark maybe towed the punt. I'm not quite sure. It also looked like there may have been a hand on it. An uncharacteristic punt, though, from Andy Clark. He's usually pretty reliable. So 2:07 on the clock. Saints have the ball at their own 38-yard line. We'll see what kind of a 2-minute offense they have. So far, we haven't seen much to, show us that they can march down the field in this time, but you never know. They might find their groove here. Dosh dropping back, pressure on him. DeKaiser chasing him, couldn't get to him. Dosh fires downfield, and no flag, surprisingly, as Fredericks was in on coverage of Curl. And Shanley catching a break there. We don't have the replay, but Fredericks all over Curl. And, it's tough. They're playing physical defense, and that's going to happen. Right now, they're kind of skirting that line, but in a good way. They're doing a good job of, maybe making some questionable plays, but not going too far over the line of what's a penalty.
And I think the refs are just letting them play. They know how
Right.
big a game of this is, and they just want to see the two teams play.
And to be fair, the Saints have played some pretty physical defense on the outside as well, so it does seem like they're keeping it like a fair standard here in terms of how they're calling it. Dosh looking downfield. He's got Spiess, who got hit before the ball was delivered there. It was incidental, though, I'd say. And that was interesting. Dosh overthrew Spiess. Spiess didn't know the ball was coming, though, so I don't think it really mattered. A weird play for St. Mary's, but not a lot of confidence inspired right now. And you can see Buckles hits him, but it looked, pretty incidental, and the ball was pretty much not catchable at that point.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that was just they don't have that right connection yet, because this is Dash's first year under center.
Very true. You talked about how he would be the player to watch, the key player, and right now he has been. Unfortunately, it's just been that the passing game hasn't been going for his way. He has yet to complete well, that's not true. I do think he's completed a couple short ones on that first drive. But still, doubles formation, a 3rd and 10. Dash looking downfield, trying to find Wiseman. It's underthrown. No, it was actually the right distance, just a little off the target. And that's a quick 3 and out. And boy, that's not what you want if you're the Saints. You just gave Shanley a minute 48 to work with.
And with their offense, that's plenty of time for them to drive down the field.
That is 3 passes and 3 incompletions. And a tough look for the Saints offense in this first half. So here is Dash on to punt. Dash lets this one go. Another nice one. Clark getting a fair catch at the 25, and so that's where Shanley will go to work. A minute 42, 75 yards. If any offense can do it, it is definitely Shanley. It'll be interesting, though, Braden. The passing game has not been there for Shanley very much either. It's primarily been the quarterback runs. And now it wouldn't surprise me if we see some of those, but with a minute 42 left, you probably are going to have to throw that ball.
Yeah, you got to think they're going to throw that ball, especially with their field position here, being in their own territory.
So let's see. Maybe this drive can get more of a rhythm going for Busick. You're kind of playing with house money right now. Minute 42. You're up 7-0. Let's see what they've got. Busick fires. It's high. DeKaiser is able to grab it, though. Brought down inbounds for a gain of 3 or 4. DeKaiser has to jump up for it, but the 6'2 receiver, the sophomore, able to get up there and get his hands on it. Minute 25 now. 2nd and 4. Busick fakes the handoff, carries it himself, wrapped up in the backfield, fights through, and gets down almost to the first down. And Braden, that's another thing for the Saints. They've got to wrap up a bit more here.
Yeah, it's kind of for both teams, too. You saw on the last play for Shanley on defense, they could have had a sack, but he escaped and got the ball away.
So 3rd and 1. Minute left to go. Deacons just going to try and get that first down. I'd imagine they'd take a timeout here after just a gain of 1, although the clock does stop with the first down, obviously, so might be able to get the play off here before it gets going again. 56 seconds. 2 receivers right, 1 left. Busick in shotgun with Fredericks alongside of him. They pitch out to Fredericks. He's got a big hole trying to turn it upfield. And he was patient that time, maybe a little too patient. He didn't get to that second gear soon enough, and the Saints were able to wrap him up.
Yeah, I definitely think he could have hit that hole a little harder and try to get north and south rather than west and east.
Definitely, Braden. Is now just 30 seconds left here. Deacons have the ball, a little past their own 40. Some pressure coming here from the Saints as Busick cannot go anywhere that time. Maybe 1 or 2 on the play. But it's going to bring up 3rd down. And a timeout taken by the Deacons. And Braden, I'm a little confused with what Shanley's doing here because they're at points it seems like they don't care about the clock, but now they take the timeout here and they do. So it seems like maybe they didn't have their minds quite made up when they started the drive.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised here if Coach Madden's going to drop kind of like a Hail Mary play or a little trickery with the routes. And
yeah, I'd imagine we're going to see them try to pick up the first down here and then maybe get one more play off to set themselves up for that last minute heave like you're talking about. But they burned a lot of clock early in this drive. I suppose a part of that is they didn't want to give the ball back to the Saints with any time left, but at the same time, St. Mary's really hasn't shown any ability to get down the field in a short amount of time.
No, and especially they're more in favor of those longer drives, kind of just subtle plays.
So interesting. It seemed like Shanley maybe didn't make the decision quite soon enough, and that set them up with only 22 seconds here. That said, 22 seconds with Troy Mattern's offense, anything can happen here. A stop would be very nice for St. Mary's here to escape only down 1 touchdown. Another score for Shanley would be absolutely huge in this defensive struggle. Buckles goes in motion. Again, it's 3rd and 3. Ball at the Shanley 44. Busick drops back. Plenty of time. Throws downfield. He's got Hoffer. Hoffer got a step. And there was a shove there by the D-back there for St. Mary's, Alex Wilson, and no call. And so, again, Braden, it seems like they're really letting him play. Busick actually with pretty nice placement on the ball. Hoffer he maybe put it a half step ahead of Hoffer. And so now the punt team will go out for Shanley. 16 seconds left. And so I imagine they'll punt here. I suppose the personnel out there could go for it, but yeah, Clark is going to go back into that punt position. Never know, though. Again, with Busick back there as the up back, you could certainly see a direct snap to him, but now we've got another timeout, and that's the second timeout Shanley's had to take before a punt. It doesn't matter as much here because they don't really need this timeout, but still, they've got a lot of weird confusion with the punts.
Yeah, you never really want it to happen this time. They're kind of more fortunate with the time, but if that happens in the second half and they have to burn a timeout, that could come back and hurt them.
For sure, Braden. So that's a mistake you want to sort out, and so hopefully on this timeout they can figure out the problem with the punts. Seems to be just some personnel issues. In the meantime, we want to give a shout-out to Jimmy Bennett, Jake Pollard's brother-in-law, also watching from Colorado. So thanks for tuning in, Jimmy. Appreciate you watching. Braden, what are your thoughts here on this first half as we look like we're about ready to wrap it up with just 16 seconds left?
It just looks like Shanley's more conditioned. They're just winning the battles at all positions right now. I think St. Mary's will figure it out at halftime and come back. Game's not over yet. We know that from previous years.
Oh, yeah. I mean, only 7-0. I think it feels a little bigger than 7-0 right now, and I think the Saints sense that. They're definitely a team, though. They can make those halftime adjustments. You know, not every team can kind of change on a dime at halftime. It's a rare quality, but St. Mary's is one of those squads. So, the punt attempt here from Clark. He lets it go. Much better punt this time for Andy Clark. Just going to let it bounce. Deacons will down it around the 21-yard line. And with just 4 seconds left, I think we'll see a kneel down from the Saints, and we'll end this first half. And Braden, you know, we talked about how so much could happen in this game, how we didn't know what to expect. And so, you know, I shouldn't be surprised at how the game has gone because I knew to expect anything. But still, I'm just very surprised at how strong Shanley has looked. They seem like they have total control right now. I mean, they're not, you know, they're not scoring points at will or anything, but they're, for the most part, in total control of this game. As we're going to see a fullback dive that goes nowhere, which is kind of the story of that half, Braden.
Yeah, the Shanley's defense is doing a great job right now shutting that middle hole.
Just dominant for the Deacons. The longer that half went on, the better they played. And so at the end of one, a 7-0 lead for Shanley. Folks, during this halftime period, there will be, it's elementary night here at Cichy Stadium. There will be some activities going down on the field, I believe, so we'll try to keep the cameras on that for you. In the meantime, though, we're only going to be away for about 10 minutes, so do not go anywhere. It is a one-touchdown game between arch rivals. You got to see how this one finishes. Good evening, folks, and welcome back to North Dakota High School football action. I'm Jed Thomas, of course, joined by Braden Altringer, as we are getting set for the second half of play here between the Shanley Deacons and the Bismarck St. Mary's Saints. It's a 7-0 lead for the Deacons, and folks, before we get back to that action, we do want to take a minute to remind you that Shanley TV is made possible in part by the Shanley Athletic Club and their generous members. Check out their website today at shanleyathletic.com to learn how your membership contributes to Shanley TV, the Deacon Den, and many other student-athlete needs. While you're there, be sure to renew your annual membership by clicking the Join Now button or become a member if you're not one already. It's easy to become a member and anyone can join, so sign up today. The Shanley Athletic Club, taking Deacon athletics to a higher level. And folks, again, before we get back to that action, we got a few things to talk to you about. So first of all, we want to give some shout-outs to Shanley alumni and Shanley TV alumni, Mason Timian and Wyatt Lyer, two guys who called football before, did a lot of work for Shanley TV, so shout-out to them. Want to shout-out to Mark Sorensen, who is watching from the Tokyo airport, Shanley alumni himself, class of 86, so thank you for tuning in, Mark. That's a pretty cool place to be watching from. And I believe we have some updates from AA football around the state. So let's see what we've got here. It is 22-0 in favor of Turtle Mountain. Although I believe we saw it was 8-0 Watford City in that game earlier. I think that touchdown may have been called back. Either that or we got a typo on this tweet. I'm sorry, folks. I'll try to sort that out for you. What else do we got? We got Valley City and Jamestown. That game is tied up 14-14 after the first half. Braden, can you believe that? Valley City, I don't think a lot of people expected them to be a contender this year after not winning a game last year.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest, that shocks me, but it just shows two-way football. Anyone can win on any given night.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, this division is looking tighter and tighter as now Valley City, they're working their way into, they're in the number 4 spot in the polls right now. If they beat Jamestown, they prove that they're not a fluke. They're a legitimate contender. Jamestown, meanwhile, they got to win that game. They cannot afford a 4th loss.
No, they can't afford that at all. If they lose, you got to think they won't have home field advantage, and it's going to look rough for the state even.
If they lose, Braden, there's a chance they might even miss the playoffs, depending on how everything shakes out. Same for Valley City, though. If they lose, they'll be in a tough spot, too, so that's a really important game. We'll try to keep you updated on it. But, folks, with all that going on, all the shout-outs, all the updates in play, we got to get back to the game at hand right here on this field, because, Braden, how about it? Just 7 points. That's 1 touchdown and an extra point separating these two rivals. I mean, what a game we've got going here. What are your thoughts so far?
Well, we've noticed that the passing game is not going to work out here in these temperatures. So the running game, and it's also going to be a battle of the defenses on who can get more stops on more possessions.
Certainly, Braden. You know, the passing game, though, for St. Mary's, that's been the most surprising part to me. They rely on that play-action pass. It's not been there, though, for them, and I think it's really hurting them offensively.
Yeah, they're so used to getting that ball out, but now they're just going to have to keep running it outside and try to find new things.
All right, well, let's see if they can make some halftime adjustments. Let's see if they made those adjustments and can get back in this one. They do have to kick the ball away to start off the second half, though. It'll be the defense put to the test first. Here is Huber on the kickoff for St. Mary's, and with that, we're underway in the second half. Joel Huber sends it downfield. It's taken by Talon Hoffer. Hoffer with space, and he's brought down at about the 33, so good field position there for the Deacons.
And, Jen, I'm not sure. It looked like they were going to do a fake handoff there to just try to get St. Mary's thrown off a little bit, and it looked like it worked.
Yeah, already some trickery there from Shanley early on in this second half, and they know, they can kind of smell blood right now. They know that St. Mary's is on their heels. They're trying to capitalize. They know if they can punch one in here to start off the second half, it's going to make things that much harder for the Saints. So, 2 receivers out left, 1 out right. Busick in shotgun, looking downfield. He's got Clark, hits him on the little slant route, and Clark good for 11 yards in the first down.
Wow, they proved me wrong there. I thought they were going to come out and run the ball, but first play, get a first down on the throw.
Well, you know, Braden, that passing game, it really felt like it started to open up for the Deacons as that first half went on, and now I think we're going to see them dial it up. Troy Matter, not a big fan of running the football. I think he did it early on out of necessity, kind of trying to settle Busick in and maybe, you know, test the St. Mary's run defense. And so now I think he feels comfortable airing that ball out like he normally does. Busick on the QB run. This is the other big play the Deacons are going to use. Busick, Horner grabbed the jersey to slow him up, but it doesn't stop him from getting 15 yards. And Braden, I mean, the Deacons are just getting gains in massive chunks.
Yeah, that's not the way you want to start the half if you're St. Mary's there. You want to come out and force a 3 and out right away.
I mean, this Saints defense, they've got to step up because their offense has not been able to do much outside of the first drive. So Shanley slowing down a little bit, getting this play call in. 2 men right, 1 left. Buckles is the running back alongside Busick. He drops back, tons of time once again. Looking downfield, he's got Buckles open and he hits him. It's the first big gain of the day for the Deacons through the air. Busick able to connect with Buckles. And it's a massive gain. And boy, Braden, the Deacons have come out firing.
Yeah, that's good to see. And Jed, that was a perfect ball by Busick there. You couldn't have put that in a much better spot.
You really couldn't have, as now Shanley's got the ball at the 21-yard line of the Saints. So here we go. St. Mary's, it's now or never if they want to take a stand on defense. Busick going to carry another big hole. And Braden, they got to take him down because he is getting so many yards after contact.
Yeah, it's just like in the first half. Their tackling hasn't looked too strong yet.
They got to wrap up and bring him down. And the thing with Busick is you got to go low. If you go high trying to tackle him, he will take you for a ride. He will drag you along for 4 or 5 yards.
Yeah, he's not going to give up until those refs blow that whistle.
So St. Mary's uncharacteristically just not playing great on defense right now. They're not tackling great, and they're getting big holes opened up against that front. So here we go. It's that same formation. Busick fakes the handoff, takes it himself. Nice play by Speece to get in there. Only needed 2 for the first down, though, and it looks like he got it. Maybe not. They'll say he's just a hair short, and that's about as close as you can get.
We'll bring a 3rd down and 4.
So 3rd and just a couple of inches now for the Deacons. Shanley, their offense not only looking more potent here, but also much more balanced. They've been doing a great job passing and running. Cade Busick has done so much damage with his legs so far. 2 receivers right, 1 left. Buckles directly behind Busick in the backfield. Busick charging up the middle. He did not go anywhere initially. He might have slipped through to get the first down, and that does appear to be the indication. Saints stuffed it initially, but it was that second effort that got it. It barely moved the football, but it did move it just enough.
1st and goal from the 10-yard line.
On the field right now for the Saints, running on is Jace Hazel. Hazel came back last week from injury. It was his first game back from a pretty bad ankle injury, and you saw him running onto the field right now. He still does not look 100% for the Saints. As now Busick is going to pitch this one out to Buckles with nowhere to go on the outside. It's a first real good stop here for the Saints.
Going back to Jace Hazel, he might be a little banged up, but this is too big of a game for you to sit out if you're able to play through it.
Definitely, and that's the way they felt last week against Jamestown. You know, he came back for that game because they knew they needed him. Hazel, you know, without a doubt their best lineman. He's got some definite college interest. He's a big guy, 6'4", 280, but you can see he's not moving at full speed. It's definitely hampering the Saints, but I think it's a lot more than just, you know, one guy's injury, though, that's been their troubles tonight. And look at this, another empty backfield look. 4 receivers left, 1 right. Let's see what they do. It's a screen pass, as you would imagine, out to Manuel. Manuel slips through and is into the end zone for the Deacon touchdown.
Jed, St. Mary's Saints, their defense just didn't know what to do there. They didn't know how to line up against that play.
No, and, you know, you could see the screen coming, though. I mean, anytime you got 4 receivers out in one direction, you pretty much know what's coming. And, you know, Braden, they were there. They just didn't get the tackle again.
There was great blocks there by Clark on Buckles on the outside there.
A couple of Saints defenders were in the vicinity, and I just don't know what it is. You know, Braden, it's like the Saints, they're almost getting there, but not quite, and not quite is not good enough against the Deacons.
No, you got to really finish that play against the Deacons.
And the screen passes were really some of the few plays the Saints were defending quite well against, and that time it just doesn't go for them. So now 14-0. This is a huge possession for St. Mary's. They've got to do something to slow up Shanley's momentum because, you know, you don't want to sound the alarms just yet, but if they can't get something going offensively, the Deacons might just run away with this the way they're playing.
And I know there's still a ton of time left in the game, but it's getting those drives where they need to score to stay in this game.
I mean, outside of that opening drive, Braden, we have yet to see anything that's really inspired much confidence from this St. Mary's offense.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see if they change their philosophy at all at halftime or if they're going to stick to those long drives that just wear down the defensive line.
Again, this game is really a benchmark to see how good the Saints are. They lost a lot off of last year's team. They returned very few starters, lost most of their line, lost their starting quarterback, starting fullback. And so this game kind of, it's here to tell us how good are they, how much have they recovered from losing so many guys. And as of now, it looks like they are a step behind the Deacons in terms of, this last year to this year.
And even if they do lose this game, this is going to be a good step in their rebuilding process to ultimately get to that state championship game.
Right, we saw them, and again, it's only 14-0, so we don't want to sound the alarms just yet. I mean, honestly, this thing could be tied before the end of the quarter. But we saw them drop the regular season game last year to Shanley and come back and really win the state championship in very dominant fashion.
And I'm guessing they have that in their minds too, but just like you said, the game's not over yet. It could be just a couple of minutes and it's tied.
Definitely. Let's see what kind of adjustments the St. Mary's offense made during halftime. The defense did not look much better there on that last possession, giving up a quick touchdown to Shanley. But let's see what they've got offensively. Familiar formation here, 2 receivers right. Heinert in the backfield next to Dosh. Dosh hands to Heinert. A little space up the far side. Heinert moving through. Nice run there for Joey Heinert. That's 4 or 5, and that's the way you want to start if you're St. Mary's. That run kind of lays the foundation now for your next 2 plays. It sets you up with 2nd and 5 and a lot of options with only 5 yards to go. I formation look now for St. Mary's. Dosh under center. Takes it, looks out to Wiseman, and boy, not sure what that was. It looked like a designed, maybe bubble screen type of play on the outside. But, I mean, Dosh that time, he took about a half-step drop when he let that go, and he actually got bumped into by his own lineman being driven back.
Yeah, the pressure definitely had something to do with it, but that just did not look like a good pass at all.
Another shout out here, folks, to Lynn Heinert watching from Bismarck. Go Saints, she says. So Lynn Heinert, thank you for tuning in. Shout out to Mr. Astrup as well, a Shanley substitute, and an update from AA action. Central Cass up 7-6 over Grafton. Only 7-6. We'll touch more on that later. 3rd and 5, 8:01 left to go in the 3rd quarter. I formation, direct handoff. No, Dosh still has it. He had space initially, but Matt Machenbacher brought him down hard.
On that play, that just shows the philosophy of Shanley's defense. They're going to get all 11 guys to that ball.
And Braden, 7-6 only in favor of Central Cass over Grafton. Can you believe that?
No, that really surprises me. Central Cass has a strong team this year, and Grafton, they're a little lacking, but I guess they can surprise some people too.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty impressive for the Spoilers, looking to play spoiler against the number 3 team in the state in Central Cass. So here's Dosh. He waited till the last second. It pays off, though, as he gets a booming punt off. Ben Clark fumbled it down at the 12, and so that's where Shanley will get the ball. And there's a fortunate break for the Saints, really their first break in a while.
The 11-yard line of the Deacons. The first down is 10.
So 14-0. Shanley, they were moving the ball at will on that last drive, Braden.
Yes, they were, but this will be one of their biggest tests, being in their own territory, there, inside of their 20.
Right. If there's one thing Shanley rarely does, it's start with bad field position. It is rare that they even start back behind their own 30. I mean, these guys, they get the ball in great spots thanks to usually real good special teams or their defense forcing turnovers. So this will be a test, as you said. See what they can do with a little bit of adversity. Doubles formation, Buckles goes in motion. They fake the handoff to him. Cade Busick up the gut, brought down hard after a gain of 2 yards or so. That's what you want to see from the Saints. You're stopping the play that's really been eating you alive.
Yeah, and they just need a stop here to stop Shanley's confidence. They have all the confidence in the world right now.
Absolutely, Braden. That's really true. I think right now, we said they moved the ball at will on that last possession, and I think Shanley knows it. This team, they don't lack confidence. That's definitely true. It does not bug them that St. Mary's has played so well against them in years past. Every year's a new year for Shanley, and you can see it in their mindset tonight as Busick completes the ball to Hoffer, a nice stiff arm cutback, and he's down and out at the 35.
And going back to what you just said, they are playing St. Mary's, which is a big rival, but they're just treating it like another football game that they need to go out there, play hard, play the full game, and then hopefully get the win.
Meanwhile, 1 step forward, 2 steps back for the Saints defense. They cannot stop Shanley. You know, the first 2 possessions for the Deacons were 3 and outs, and since then, it's really felt like Shanley can do whatever they want on offense.
Yeah, the tide's kind of flipped here in the first half. St. Mary's was moving the ball at will on their first drive, and now it's all Shanley.
Saints, time to dig deep. Another touchdown here would be about as bad as it can get. They got to try and stop Shanley here while they're back on the other side of the field as Busick charges forward for 3 or 4 yards. And this is exactly what the Saints wanted to do. You know, right now Shanley, they're getting 3, 4, 5 yards on first down with those runs from Busick or short passes, and then it's setting them up for those seconds and manageable. That's what St. Mary's has been trying to do, but they just can't seem to get it done.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just not your night and things are not going to go your way, but you just have to find different ways and try to get the job done.
Busick, meanwhile, he looks better and better every play. He just seems to be, his running gets better, his passing gets better, and he is really getting more comfortable out there. So here goes Busick again on the QB run. They had him initially. He throws off a tackler, and St. Mary's just cannot wrap up. Cade Busick cannot go down.
That's hurting them a lot right now. With Shanley getting all these yards, it's pretty much due to them not completing their tackle.
Right. If St. Mary's made these tackles when they make first contact, this would be a totally different game. But right now, Cade Busick, especially with the yards after the carry, is just devouring this defense.
Yeah, they're going up top on their tackles. They need to stay low because he really likes to pump his legs, so they need to wrap up his legs to bring him down.
So 5:35 left to go here in the third quarter. Doubles look for Shanley. No one in the backfield. Buckles in motion. They give to Haley Buckles. Huge hole for Buckles. Trying to hit it, accelerating through. Finally brought down at the 30.
And that's the play Haley Buckles is known for. If it's a run or if it's a quick bubble, he's known for getting into open space and taking off.
And he's got to be a little careful there after the play. There was some talking. He pops up quick. And obviously your emotions can get the better of you, but with the way the game is going so well in their favor, Shanley can't start doing that. Just got to be careful.
You can't afford that at all. To go backwards, that just kind of lowers your momentum.
And so Shanley going to work now, 1st and 10 at the St. Mary's 31. High formation, it's Joe Cava in at fullback. And they do go up the gut with Buckles. Cava paving the way, and Buckles good for a gain of 8 or 9. The Deacons just continue to move this ball freely. And Braden, I think it's safe to say this is not the St. Mary's we have grown accustomed to.
No, we're used to them coming back, playing hard, but they just don't look like the same ball team as in previous years.
And again, we talked about how much they had to replace. I think it's very evident up front. They're just so much smaller than they were last year. Usually they've got the massive size advantage over Shanley. They're usually able to move that Shanley front line at will. Not the case tonight. In fact, it's really the reverse. So 2nd and 2 now for Shanley. Handoff Buckles, and finally a positive play as Speece brings down Buckles. We do have a flag, though. It's for a hold against the Deacons.
Jed, I was thinking that was going to be maybe an offsides because two St. Mary's players got in there really quick.
Yeah, and I suppose it's a good sign for St. Mary's that it wasn't offsides and that they just, were able to jump the snap count like that. It's something positive.
3-2 second down. Bring up 2nd down at 12.
Replaying 2nd now. 2nd and 12 for the Deacons. 4:05 left in this third quarter and counting. Buckles joins Busick in the backfield. Clark goes in motion. Busick drops back, looks downfield, has a couple options, looking for Hoffer, batted away nicely. A good defensive play that time by Cullen Curl. And boy, did St. Mary's need that.
Yeah, he made a great read on the playing, was able to knock the ball down.
So 3rd and 12, critical play here. And Braden, it would not surprise me if Shanley just tries to pick up, maybe 6 or 7 yards, maybe an intermediate pass, and then try to pick up the first on 4th down.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they run the same 2 plays here and try to get about 7 yards each play or maybe more.
We'll see what they've got. It's that similar formation. Busick in shotgun, drops back, has some time. It's a screen pass. He gets it to Buckles. Buckles trying to get the edge. Heinert got there. He did not get the first down. He got maybe 3 or 4 yards. I'm not expecting a punt or a field goal, though. That's for sure. Shanley is going for this. Braden, this is about as big as it gets. This may be the most important play of this game. Perhaps the only more important play was that touchdown that was called back earlier that the Saints had.
Yeah, this could make or break the Saints' victory or loss here.
They need the confidence from this play. They need the confidence from getting a stop here, and they need the rest, getting their defense off the field. Shanley eating up a lot of time here. And I'm not quite sure what they're... It looks like Mattern may not have the play call in yet. I have to imagine we're going to get a timeout here. And, yeah, that will be the case.
Yeah, that kind of surprises me. Normally Shanley's known for their more up-tempo, but it looks like they're just settling here and going to get the right play call.
Right, Shanley does use that up-tempo offense, but what we've seen from Troy Mattern the last 2 years is that he uses those timeouts early and often. It is not too common that he'll have any timeouts left headed into halftime or at the end of the game. He burns them early. Usually on plays like this, he wants to get the right play call in these 4th down situations. Although you would think for how often they go for it on 4th, you'd think they'd have it nailed down by now, but they like to take their time.
Yeah, you think they might have a sneak play here that they haven't shown yet to catch St. Mary's off guard.
Yeah, I mean, perhaps just trying to reach deep. Honestly, if I'm Shanley, it reads 4th and 7. It's a little closer than that, so it is tough. It wouldn't surprise me, though. I would imagine we'll see some sort of run play, like a sweep involving Buckles, try to get that edge again like they tried on 3rd down.
Yeah, you got to think they'll try to work outside, but their quarterback sneaks have been working really well so far.
That's true. I mean, it would not surprise me if they line up with Cava in at fullback and then go with the sneak again like they have. Although right now, looks like they've got 3 receivers right, 1 left. And Busick will go under center, so watch that quarterback sneak. Fredericks is directly behind him. So here is the snap. Busick fires on the screen pass, and it looks like Hoffer's looking to throw. Pressure coming, throws it up there, and it is not going anywhere. Shanley took a lot of time to get that play call in, and it did not go according to plan. You'll see Hoffer looking to pass, but he never really gets set. And again, they're lucky they did not turn that ball over. Huge stop for the Saints, though. I mean, that's big for St. Mary's.
Yeah, that definitely boosts your confidence. But if you're the Saints here, you need to score on this possession. Otherwise, it might get out of hand.
Definitely. Even if they don't score, if they can just move the ball a little bit. I mean, it's been a while since they've gotten a first down even. This offense just not quite there for them. Spies going in motion that time, along with Bradley. Dosh drops back, hands to Heinert, and Deacon tacklers all over the place. Heinert sidestepping and moving. Heinert still going for 3 or 4 yards, and man, I thought that was going to be a loss of 3 or 4.
I thought it was too, but it looked like Shanley, it looked like St. Mary's out there. They just couldn't wrap up on that play.
And boy, though, the penetration from Shanley is incredible, the way they are getting back there so fast. So the Saints come to the line. Some momentum after the stop and after a nice run. It's that I formation look again. Here goes Dosh, play action pass. Cava barreling down, throws it over the middle of the field, complete. A big completion to Spies. A big hit, and he falls forward for a gain of about 15. And finally some life in the passing game and for this St. Mary's offense.
Yeah, that might just be the spark they needed.
You would hope if you're St. Mary's, because there's 2 real nice plays for them. Boy, that is so huge for Dosh to get a completion there.
Yeah, with him throwing some balls into the ground, that really boosts up his confidence, so I wouldn't be surprised if they go right back to the pass game or run the ball here.
And at least now Shanley does have to remember that St. Mary's does have a passing game. So they go to Heinert again. Heinert getting the call, moving forward. Joey Heinert still going down at the 36. Hold the phone, folks. St. Mary's has life.
Austin Manuel on the stop for the Deacons. First down, 10, St. Mary's.
Huge carry for Heinert. Finally, the Saints are showing up again like they did on that opening drive. I don't know where this offense was for the last couple quarters, but they're back all of a sudden. Saints back at the line. I formation look, trying to capitalize on this momentum. They're going to go right back to Heinert. Heinert moving up the right side. Maybe 2 yards that time. Deacons do finally stop him here. And they're going to have to give Joey Heinert a break at some point because right now he is clearly the only back working for him, and he's getting a lot of calls.
Yeah, you got to think he's tired out there, but he just needs to keep working in this big of a game.
One back that was very effective for them last week was Mark Horner. He had a lot of good runs against Jamestown. We've not seen very much out of him, although he has checked into that fullback position now. 2nd and 9. They only gave him a yard there as Dosh drops back. He's got Wiseman. Wiseman breaks a tackle, moving up the near side, cuts back, tried to get around Buckles, could not, but he did get the first down. Huge first down, huge drive cooking right now for St. Mary's. Moving the ball for the first time really since that opening possession. Dosh back under center now. Minute 28 remaining in the third quarter. Play action pass looking downfield. He goes for Speece. It's loose, almost picked. Buckles was there. And finally, a positive play on this drive for Shanley now.
Yeah, you really want that after giving up a couple plays that went for about 10 yards each play. That's huge for Deacons.
Incomplete. Bring up 2nd down, 10.
So that's going to bring up 2nd and 10. First time in a while that St. Mary's has not gotten some positive yards. First time on this drive, really, it seems. And so they're going to try to get back in that rhythm. Folks, want to give another shout out to another Shanley alumni, James Thomas. Thank you for tuning in. As now St. Mary's goes back to the line. 2nd and 10, minute 20 left in the third. Handoff directly to Schmidt, or no, does Dosh still have it? It's Dosh who's got the ball, carrying forward for a gain of 7 or 8.
Gain of 6. Jake Pollard on the stop for the Deacons. Bring up 3rd down.
So it is now 3rd down. 3rd and about 4 here, Braden, and this is a huge 3rd down for the Saints. And an interesting look. They're going to break from that I formation setup. It's Schmidt next to Dosh in the backfield with doubles formation. Here goes Dosh. Screen pass out to Heinert. Heinert jumping around, trying to get to that first down marker. He's short, just maybe a half yard. Looks like the Saints are going to try to get the quick play call in. Big stop for Shanley, but an even bigger 4th down try coming up. Horner going to come on along with Bradley. Meanwhile, Schmidt checks out with Curl. 14 seconds and counting left to go in this quarter. They'll go up to the line. Will they try and run a play, or will they just try and hard count the Deacons here with so little time left? 3 seconds. Will they get the play off? And no. They were just waiting for him to jump, but they didn't even really get to the line in time to do a hard count even.
Yeah, that kind of surprised me there that they even went to the line. They had enough time to get a playoff, but they chose not to.
Well, and you know, I kind of figured they'd just get up there, try to get the offsides, but they only got up there with about 4 seconds to go, so they didn't even have time to, do the hard count. So it's really the only negative thing going for the Saints on that drive, though. How about the recovery there for St. Mary's all of a sudden finding some life after a big 4th down stop on defense?
Yeah, that drive reminds me of the Saints teams we've seen in previous years.
Definitely. That's much more St. Mary's-esque. The rest of the game has not really gone that way, but good for St. Mary's to see some life out of them. Meanwhile, if Shanley can get a stop here, that would be huge. If they can keep St. Mary's off the board on this drive, that would be, you're looking at 14-0 now in the 4th quarter. That's pretty difficult to come back.
Yes, it is, and then I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of switch their mental aspect here and kind of go slower instead of that fast, up-paced tempo that we're used to.
Well, you would think so, but with Shanley, they're stubborn to shift away from their offensive philosophy, and it is hard to blame them because, it works pretty well for them.
Yeah, and they're always hungry to score, so if they're going to get an opportunity to score, they're going to take advantage of it.
Definitely try and use Busick on those quarterback runs, eat up some time, and get some good chunks of yards. But we're thinking pretty far ahead here as it's 4th and maybe a half yard for the Saints. In years past, you would think St. Mary's could do a QB keeper, get the push easily for the half yard. Right now, though, it is no certainty that they can get that kind of push to get Dosh forward.
Yeah, and it looks like Shanley thought it out and maybe brought in an extra defensive lineman to disrupt that play.
Yeah, that looks like what they're doing out there. Deacons have some size. Cava, Rosberg, Bubak, Beiswinger, all those guys are pretty big. I'm not quite sure what the delay is. There we go. Saints will break the huddle. I formation. Here we go. Huge 4th down. Maybe a half a yard separates the Saints from the first. Spiess goes in motion. They give to Heinert. He's caught in the backfield, but he's able to cut it upfield for the first down. I thought the Deacons had him, Braden.
I thought they did too, but it just looked like they didn't get him quite enough.
They got the legs, and who was that that time? I think Beiswinger. No, Johnson. Noah Johnson was in there and couldn't quite get there, and now we've got a man down for the Deacons. And that is not what you want to see. As I think that's Pollard, but I'm not positive, Braden.
Yeah, and he kind of looked a little limping earlier in the game, too. I don't know if his ankle might be bothering him a little bit.
Well, we'll hope for the best there with Jake. We'll let the trainers work on him. An update from that AA game going on, Jamestown and Valley City. It is 22-14 in favor of Jamestown. So that's, I think, more what we expected, but still, that's not big separation between those two teams. Valley City really has come to play this season.
Yeah, they've really showed up. A lot of people were kind of counting them out, but they've shown up and proved people wrong.
And boy, you hope Jake Pollard's okay because, I mean, just a great guy, and you never want anyone to get hurt out there. But, the Deacons, too, that's a big loss for them if he, is down here. He's a pivotal lineman for them offensively and defensively. A senior, he plays both ways.
Especially his leadership out there. When you're losing a senior to an injury, that's not fun.
So we'll hope for the best there with Pollard. Meanwhile, though, we've got another update. Turtle Mountain leads Watford City 22-0 after 3 quarters. So Turtle Mountain continuing to look like a solid contender here. Shanley beat them, I think that was 33-8 or something around there a couple weeks ago. As now Pollard is up, and he's walking under his own power. That's good to see.
Yeah, that's promising news for Shanley.
So Pollard going to walk off slow. I mean, not a great sight. You never want to see someone shaken up like that. But under his own power. Good sign. Meanwhile, the Saints have 1st and 10 at the Shanley 11. Trainers now off the field. We're ready to play football as we get the whistle. So 1st and 10. 11:50 left to go here in the 4th quarter. Saints trying to get on the board for the first time this evening. I formation for St. Mary's. Handoff goes to Horner up the gut. Mark Horner charging forward. He is wrapped up there. And a bit of an awkward tackle. I'm not sure who met him initially. Whoever was there for Shanley, though, wanted that ball more than they wanted the tackle. That looks like Matt Machenbacher. He was just going after the ball, trying to force a turnover there. And Turtle Mountain now up 28-0 as the 4th quarter begins in that game. But yeah, Machenbacher trying to rip the ball out, could not quite get it as Horner falls forward for about 4 yards. I formation once again. Horner stays in at fullback. Heinert behind him at tailback. Dosh under center. And they'll give to Horner once again, or maybe not. Not sure who had the ball there. A disaster of a play, though, for the Saints. They're lucky that wasn't a fumble.
Yeah, I'm not sure Cavan knew who had the ball either. He kind of tackled 2 people there.
I think Dosh saw Cava coming and wanted to pull it away, but Horner was sold on the carry, and it's hard to blame him. I mean, at that point you would think, who's got the ball. But, yeah, not sure if that was a miscommunication. I think more than anything it was Dosh seeing Cava barreling down there and trying to pull it away. So 3rd and 8 for St. Mary's. Great first 2 downs here for the Shanley defense. Doubles look. Dosh in shotgun. Dosh drops back, has some pressure coming. He finds Heinert, who's into the end zone for the Saint touchdown. And don't go anywhere, folks, because this game just got interesting. Dosh fires over the middle. There's 3 Deacons around there, but no one was really playing on Heinert. They were all just kind of around him.
Yeah, you can't leave him that wide open in that position of the field.
Heinert does a good job hanging on to the ball and getting into the end zone, and a huge touchdown for St. Mary's to give him some life. Huber gets the kick up. Is it through, though? Just barely. Huber skirts it through, and so a big touchdown now, 14-7 our score. And Braden, what a turn of events here.
Yeah, that kind of didn't really surprise me, though, with St. Mary's philosophy. I think they'll be just fine here.
Yeah, I mean, we know, Coach Schmierker is, he's used to adversity. He's seen it all. He's seen the highs and the lows. He's fresh off his 261st career win last week, so he's pretty experienced. I don't think he's fazed at all by a 2-touchdown deficit. And folks, got another little break here, so we want to give a shout-out to the grandparents of Noah Johnson who have tuned in to watch the game. So I want to give them a shout-out. Thank you guys for tuning in. Noah Johnson, the middle linebacker and O-lineman for the Shanley Deacons. Again, if you guys want to shout-out anyone at home, please get in contact with us. You can find us on Facebook or Twitter, also Instagram, so hit us up there, and we'll try to give you a shout-out on air. 10:15 left to go here in the game. It's a 14-7 lead for Shanley. Saints fresh off of their first touchdown of the game as Huber kicks this one deep. Fielded by Kochman, I believe that was, as he hands it off now. Again, the Deacons trying some trickery on special teams, and that's not going to do much as Andy Clark is down at the 20 now. Saints just playing overall a lot better than they were earlier. They've got a lot more life, a lot more energy. So Shanley offense back out there. They're going to try and right the ship for the Deacons. Again, offense is Shanley's bread and butter. They average over 40 points a game. This is where they're most comfortable. Saints defense made a big stop on the last possession. Let's see if they can replicate it. Busick wrapped up and brought down. Only a gain of 1 that time. It was a big stop for St. Mary's on that last possession, but you got to keep in mind that was after they gave up a huge chunk of yards. They let Shanley drive all the way downfield and just about get a touchdown. St. Mary's barely made the stop on that last possession, so you got to remember here, Shanley really has been cruising. 2nd and 8. Deacons content to let a little time run off this clock. A little too early to be letting it run, though, and they know that as they get to the line. Busick drops back, fakes the screen pass. Now he's looking downfield. It's too strong and almost picked. That one looked like it was throwing right to Curl. And boy, that's dangerous. I'm not sure if he was supposed to fake the screen there, but there was nothing going with Hoffer. Ball was overthrown anyway, but Hoffer was quite well guarded.
Yeah, he really didn't have a good option there. He was just fortunate enough that was not intercepted.
And there have been a lot of passes like that for Shanley that have come ever so close to being picked. So big 3rd down, 3rd and 8 now. 2 receivers right, 1 left. Buckles with Busick in the backfield. It's the option play. Out to Buckles. Heiner catches him behind the line of scrimmage. 3 plays and nowhere to go for the Deacons as the Saints defense is back in action now, looking like their old selves. So Shanley going to be forced to punt now, facing a 4th and 11, very deep in their own territory. And so Clark is back to punt. Deacons able to get the right personnel out there. They struggled with that on the last few punts, so that's a good sign for them. As Clark loads up, lets this one go, gets some good leg on it, and it's going to be fair caught by Heinert at the 48. And so that's where St. Mary's goes to work. Braden, they've got momentum, and they've got field position. This is a big possession here for the Saints.
Yeah, if you're the Saints here and want to keep that momentum, you have to put a good drive together and maybe get some points at the end of it.
We've seen 2 really good possessions from St. Mary's. That last one was the first one they got points out of. It's going to be big to see if they can continue that, though, because they've only done it twice now where they've really looked that good on offense. Curl goes in motion. Dosh in shotgun. Dosh drops back. Got some time. Looking downfield. He lets it go. Looking for Wiseman. Wiseman gets around. Oh, he had it, and he lost it. Clark made a good adjustment to get back there and break it up. And Wiseman really could not see that time. Andy Clark was right there. It was clean defense, though. Clark does a good job blocking his line of sight. You know, it was physical, it was close, but Shanley knows how this game is being officiated. They know that that wasn't enough to get a call. It was good D. And Wiseman standing 5'9", 5'10", Andy Clark 5'8"-ish. He's a shorter corner, but they're doing a good job with the matchup, keeping him on a smaller receiver for St. Mary's, and you saw it that time. So 2nd and 10 now. They give to Heiner. Heiner taking it up the far side, cutting forward. Gain of 6 or 7 now. Big 3rd down coming. And that's not going to be as far as I thought. That's going to be more like 3rd and 5 or 6 now. And this is a tough spot for St. Mary's. The passing game has been looking better, but it still hasn't been great. So 3rd and 6 doesn't leave you with a ton of options when you're a team like St. Mary's. Could very well see another run on the outside, see one of those runs like we saw with Spiess earlier. They might try and pass, though. Let's see what they've got. 7:43 left in the game. 3rd and 6. And Dosh will just give this one off to Heiner moving forward, and he's not going to get there. And that's an interesting play call, Braden. I'm a little surprised they didn't get very creative there. And I'm not sure if I'm a big fan of that.
I don't think I'm a big fan of it either, but they were just trying to use the wide side of the field and see if they could make something happen.
And so now they're going to be forced to punt, and Braden, they had all the momentum going for them. And now that has just gone away, so tough break for the Saints.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, though, if we see a fake here just to catch Shanley off guard.
Could be they're in the right spot on the field where you'd try it. Not exactly the right formation for it, though, as Dosh will punt this one away. Takes a bounce at the 15. Clark chooses to field it, interestingly, but he's able to spin out of some tackles and is brought down at about the 20. I thought he should let it bounce for the touchback, but that's why Andy Clark is out there. He knew what to do and was able to get good field position.
First down and 10 for the Deacons. Ben Smith on the stop for the Saints.
1st and 10 now for Shanley at their own 20. Saints looking to make another stop here and try to get another crack on offense. And we want to give a shout out to Jean Epler, Mrs. Epler, my 1st grade teacher who's watching the game at home. Mrs. Epler, thank you for tuning in. Awesome to know you're watching, as now Shanley's got 1st and 10 with 6:53 to go. And a screen pass or something out there. It was not going, though, for the Deacons. And boy, that's not working great there.
Yeah, that didn't really work at all. I'm not sure I'm a big fan of that play call with this field position here.
Yeah, it's interesting. St. Mary's, they've been kind of sporadic in how they've been defending those screen passes. Earlier in the game, they were jumping them left and right. Then they started to kind of fade, but now they're back on top of them. And so it's 2nd and 10 as Busick is carrying. He's brought down. No, someone caught a leg in there. Spiess got one of his legs but couldn't bring him down. He is finally brought down now to bring up 3rd and about 5. Another quick shout out to Maddie Klee watching and Connie Altringer. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hey, Braden, any relation there?
I think I might be related. I'm not quite sure, though.
All right. 6:25 left to go in this game. That clock really starting to become a factor now. 3rd and 5 for the Deacons. Back at their own 25-yard line. Saints need a stop. 2 receivers right, 1 left. Buckles back there with Busick and shotgun. Busick trying to get the hard count here. St. Mary's showing some pressure as Busick goes out to Buckles. Buckles, though, wrapped up and brought down. Another huge stop for this Saints defense.
Yeah, Buckles really had nothing going for them. He was just lucky he didn't get a turnover there.
And boy, interesting decision there. You know, St. Mary's shut the screen pass down on the 1st down. But, you know, there's not many options there for Shanley. Thought we might see, you know, maybe a slant route or something, some of that more intermediate passing game. But they try the little pass in the flat to Buckles, and it just doesn't go for them. So Saints are going to get another crack on offense here with plenty of time. Clark back to punt, wait until the last second. They just get it off as Clark lets this one go. High, towering kick, hits at the 50 and takes a Shanley bounce down to about the 43. So it is on the other side of the field, but it's still good position for the Saints.
Yes, it is. And this is kind of the game I was expecting. Just back and forth, good football.
And, you know, Braden, 5 minutes left. There's, plenty of time, but if the Saints can't do it on this drive, it's going to get pretty tough. Another shout out to Verna Owens watching from Frisco, Texas. Thank you for tuning in, Verna. Appreciate having you. And thank you to everyone who's gotten in contact with us. We're glad to know when you're watching. I formation look. Here is Dosh. A lot of misdirection in the backfield. He's got Schmidt wide open. Instead, he's going to go to Spiess. Spiess got back to it, and he somehow hung on to it. Everybody thought he should throw to Schmidt. I thought he should throw to Schmidt. Schmidt was jumping up and down, but Drew Dosh saw Mason Spiess, and he completed the much tougher but much bigger pass. Huge completion to Spiess. Blown coverage a little bit that time for the Deacons. Manuel was back there. I think he maybe was supposed to pick Spiess up that time and just didn't quite get on him.
And that was a heck of a throw with Cava, and I didn't see the other player, but they were getting into him and allowing him. His visibility was not that great.
And a rare slip up from Manuel. He is one guy who just does not make mistakes. As now he got that I formation look. Penetration in the backfield immediately. Rosberg got back there. Carry goes nowhere for Heiner. Stood up at the line of scrimmage. Cava was all the way over there in the blink of an eye, and Joe Cava continues to be a force to be reckoned with on defense. Curl going to check in for Schmidt now on 2nd and 11. Saints actually lost a yard there. So 2 receivers out left. Dosh in shotgun. Here's Dosh giving to Heiner, who then gives to Spiess, who can't get anywhere. Another huge stop for the Deacons, and suddenly it's 3rd and 11, and the Saints are in a very tough position.
Jed, you got to think at their field position now, they're going to go for it on 4th if it comes to be that. So
I think you have to here with 3:39 left to go. But it might not even get there, 3rd and 11. It'll be interesting. They might try and set up an easier 4th down try. They might take a big shot. They have a lot of options. Got to get some yards here, though, as the Deacons show blitz. Heiner going in motion. Deacons don't bring what they show as Dosh fires downfield. Oh, boy, and that's going to be picked. And you can see it coming from a mile away. Dosh basically threw that one into the arms of Buckles, I believe.
It almost looked like Haley Buckles was the receiver there.
Yeah, boy.
At the 18-yard line.
He was going for Spiess, and he did not have to, Buckles did not have to do much there. In fact, Buckles was maybe a little bit far off of Spiess, but I think he did a good job tracking the ball that time.
Especially what you just said. That's a tough ball to track over the shoulder.
Usually tough for the receiver. That's your intended target. But so, 3rd and 11, Saints need a stop for one last try here. Busick in shotgun. He's going to carry it himself up the middle. Saints able to make the stop. They shove Busick back. He stayed on his feet, but it actually kind of hurt him that time, as I think he didn't end up getting as many yards as he would have had as he took a step back. And St. Mary's burns a timeout here. Understandable, trying to preserve some time. Got to make the stops here, though. With this timeout, going to give another shout out to Kathleen Sorensen Boucher. Thank you for tuning in. Again, appreciate everyone watching. And boy, Braden, what a game this has turned into. When this second half started, Shanley marched down the field, scored pretty easily. I think a lot of people started to wonder, including myself. I thought that they might just run away with this one. Boy, how I was wrong.
Yeah, I was just with you there. I thought Shanley would run away with it, but we've, just like I've said, seen St. Mary's teams in the previous years have been just like this team.
So St. Mary's certainly showing that if these two teams should meet again, it will be extremely competitive, you would imagine. And, you know, obviously still quite competitive right now. 3 minutes, only down a touchdown. Saints break out of that timeout. Deacons using all the time they can.
And you got to think with St. Mary's using their timeouts here, if Shanley gets a couple first downs, this game might be over.
You would certainly think so. 2 receivers right, 1 left. Busick in shotgun. There's the whistle. Play gets set. 2nd down, 8 yards to go. They're going to give to Buckles on the sweep. Can they catch him on the edge? Wrapped up briefly, and then he does fall down. Great work in the backfield. I think that was Connor Pitts who just caught his arm. Pitts gets off the block, and then, yeah, he grabs his arm, just the sleeve of his shirt, and is able to take him down. Saints elect not to use a timeout here. 3rd and 6. Big time play. This could be the ball game right here, Braden.
Yes, it could be. I believe if Shanley gets this first down, they're going to win this game. But if they don't, it's going to be a good ball game to finish the game.
Would be tough for St. Mary's if Shanley gets it. And they're going empty backfield here. Doubles formation. And so Busick going to carry up the gut. Looks like he got it. Oh, maybe not. No, I think he fell forward and got it. Cade Busick makes the big-time play, and suddenly this game looking much further out of reach for the Saints.
A little surprising they didn't use their timeout there. They might be just hoping for a fumble or a turnover by Shanley.
Well, yeah, I mean, you get the stoppage from the first down, but, you know, what's more interesting to me is, so Shanley goes with that 4-receiver look. And, you know, I wouldn't put it past Coach Mattern to throw in that situation. At the same time, though, you got to be expecting that QB sneak. And, again, that middle of the field just looked a little too wide open as Busick charges forward. No gain that time. But so, St. Mary's going to take one of their 2 remaining timeouts here.
St. Mary's, their 2nd timeout.
And, boy, Braden, this will be tough for the Saints. So they're going to have to try and get a stop here, call another timeout. Shanley will get to run another play and run that clock down. Should only leave St. Mary's with, boy, I would imagine maybe 45 seconds in a good situation. That'd be the best case scenario, I would think.
Yeah, it would be, but it starts with these next 2 downs here. They really got to get that stop because if Shanley gets that first down, they're going to be able to kneel it down and win the ball game.
The good news for the Saints, though, if they can get the ball back, the deep passing game, it hasn't really been there, but it's getting better. They almost completed the bomb to Wiseman. We saw a big pass downfield to Speece. But, yeah, right now, Braden, they just need to focus on those stops, like you said. So here we go. Both teams come to the line. 2 men out to the left, 1 out to the right. Buckles in the backfield with Cade Busick. Busick takes it, fakes to Buckles, carries up the middle, and he's brought down.
Cade Busick on a keeper.
And if you're St. Mary's, you got to wonder if this defense, if this offense had shown up for the whole game and not just the beginning and the end, how different things would be, you know?
Yeah, I think if they show up right away, I think St. Mary's could be up by 7 instead of Shanley.
Certainly. I mean, they were there immediately. The 2 3-and-outs they forced, the drive that had the touchdown called back, and then for pretty much all that second quarter and the majority of that third quarter, they were, you know, nowhere to be found offensively or defensively. And then at the end here in the fourth, they come on strong again. So inconsistency from the Saints. And they're still in it, though. I mean, that goes to show the talent they've got. You know, you'd think the way they played in the second and third quarter, it'd be out of reach at this point. But they still have a shot at winning this ball game, which, again, I think just speaks to the talent level here. I mean, I think we're pretty clear. It's pretty clear we're looking at the 2 best teams in AA right now.
Yeah, for sure. These are the 2 teams that we will most likely see in that state championship game.
They're just focused on the game going on tonight, though, as it's 3rd and 6. This really is the ball game right here, folks. Option play, they go out to Buckles, he's got space, and he gets the first down. Saints got to try and force a fumble. They cannot, though, and that should do it. Buckles, you know, Braden, that option play really didn't work all game until that play right there. The Saints were able to shut it down most of the evening, And one time, Shanley slips it through, and it just happens to be the best possible time.
And sometimes that's all you need, one play to put this game away.
So a gain of 20 that will most likely ice this game, barring a miracle here. Shanley's demonstrated great ball security here tonight, though. Not a single turnover for the Deacons, Braden. That's pretty impressive, considering St. Mary's coming into this game was averaging 3 forced turnovers a night.
Yeah, St. Mary's averaging that many turnovers, you'd expect at least 1 or 2, but Shanley did really good in not turning that ball over.
Yeah, and there were part of it was luck. Busick had about 2 or 3 passes that really were pretty close to getting picked, but that's football. I mean, St. Mary's had some luck plays like that, and Shanley fortunate. It's a good combination of just ball security and, like I said, lucky bounce.
And that's all it is. Sometimes the luck just isn't in your favor.
In a game this close, it really can come down to those bounces, those almost interceptions, those almost turnovers. And so Busick kneels it down, and the Deacons walk away with a 14-7 win. It wasn't easy. It was a roller coaster of a game. At times, they looked like they were going to get blown out in the beginning. Then it looked like they were going to blow out the Saints throughout most of the middle. All of a sudden, the Saints just about make a comeback, but not to be. Shanley escapes with the win on their home field, and what a win for Shanley now, moving to 6-0, taking sole possession of first place, looking like they will be that 1 seed come playoff time.
Yeah, this just proved that Shanley is the best team in 2A right now. But these teams are going to see each other again, I think, in the playoffs, and it's going to be a really exciting game to watch.
And for how close that game was, Braden, you just don't know what will happen if these two meet again in that championship game or in the playoffs, depending on how things go. They could meet sooner. But yeah, so 14-7 the final here. Shanley wins tonight. Maybe the last matchup between these two teams. For all we know, if St. Mary's, if they don't meet again in the championship or at some point in the playoffs, Shanley's moving up to AAA. So you never know. This could have been it for a pretty storied rivalry.
Yeah, and St. Mary's knows that, so they're really hungry. They want to play Shanley again, and I think it's going to happen.
Braden, I would have to agree with you. They'll do everything in their power to force a rematch. Looking pretty far ahead, though. That's a ways down the road. We do want to give an update from AA action. A final score from that Turtle Mountain Watford game, 36-0 Turtle Mountain. No surprise there. They're continuing to look like a strong team. We don't have another update from Jamestown Valley City, but that's a score, folks, you should watch. If you follow AA, that's a pretty interesting game. That could have some pretty big implications going into the playoffs.
Yeah, everyone expected Shanley and Bismarck St. Mary's to be the biggest game tonight, but that might end up being the biggest game in 2A.
All right, well, for tonight, for Braden Altringer, and for our entire crew, I'm Jed Thomas. Your final score from Fargo, Shanley Deacons 14, Bismarck St. Mary's Saints 7. To watch the archived version of this entire game and our other broadcasts, go to ShanleyTV.com. The proceeding has been a presentation of Shanley TV.